Good good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Brew Hill Podcast, episode number 6. First thing I want you to do, I want you to hit that like and that subscribe button.
Please
do that
do.
first. Please hit that, and I'm gonna remind you again and again and again until you do it. Thank you. My name is Chad Rico Taylor, coming at you today, along with my man right here, Philip Livesey, better known as P Funk.
E-Funk.
Right. And we gonna bring you something special tonight. Something from our past. A good friend of ours.
One of
come
our
together.
loved ones.
Yeah, big time. I don't want to give too much on his journey before, but when I tell you this, me and this guy goes way back. Uh, he's actually probably my first friend I ever really had in the neighborhood.
Yeah. The true meaning of the day one.
No, I mean, dude, y'all don't understand. Hey, no, really, he was one of the first people I ever met like that. I mean, that I can remember having a memory of friends, dude, ever since, we were, yeah, anyway, 6, 7, 8 years old. He was young. And then, and we'll get more into it, the sports, our journey in sports. But let me go ahead and introduce him right now. I'm going to bring to you my man Carver Russaw. Our nickname for him as a kid was Kite. Uh, this young man was my version of. I felt in our neighborhood he was our version of Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
This was a true all around athlete. Starred in football, but if you ever saw him play basketball or baseball, he was something special in both. He
Exactly.
naturally gifted on top of probably the hardest worker I've ever been around when it came to sports. So I just want to bring to you right now, introduce him, let him tell you a little bit about himself. I'm gonna introduce you, my man Carver Russaw.
Thank you.
How
Thank
you
you very
doing,
much.
sir?
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on.
Oh yeah,
no
I hope that we
problem.
can enlighten some people on the direction of being a student athlete and what it
Yes.
takes.
Yes.
So that's my purpose here today is to
yeah,
enlighten people and help them understand what the NILs are, what's real and what isn't real, the days of recruitment and how it used to be and how it is now.
Right.
So at that point, just ask fire away and I'll answer the questions as best as I
that
can.
that part I like that because
Okay.
when we get around to the NIL thing, man, that's my thing because I love it. I love what's happening with this thing that these young men and young ladies are now being compensated for their value.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing right now.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But we'll just start off just giving a little brief history of how it started. I'll go back to Little League baseball.
Yeah.
Carver and I played on the same Little League baseball team over
Rancho.
at Rancho/Dorsey, Dorsey Park High School. We played on the same team. But what was interesting about the 2 years that we played together is that this young man technically should not have even been on the field because he wasn't old enough to play. He wasn't old enough to play on our team. And in saying that, and I've told him this, I gave him his props. He was 3 years younger than myself at the time, or 3 years behind, whatever. But he was the second best player on the team.
Man. That's saying a lot.
In the fourth
For
grade.
your age bracket.
Dude, that's what no, it really, it's saying a lot, but when you know the journey,
Right.
it's all props. The kid was just good. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was just good. There's some people that's special.
Yeah, you gotta
know,
give props when it's due.
There was a lot of talent that was out there. Daryl Strawberry played in this league, so don't get it twisted. There was a
Yeah.
whole lot of talent that we played with over at, at Rancho. But just go ahead from there, Carver. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Little League, Pop Warner, because you didn't. People think he played a lot, but he didn't. But I'm gonna let him go.
you
ahead.
play Pop One?
He
I did not.
But didn't you play like that one
1
year?
year. Only
That's
1
what I'm
year.
saying. Okay, he was
For-
one,
for-
but he
for,
didn't. He
which-
didn't play a lot.
Dorsey.
Oh, you played for I played for
Junior
Dorsey.
band.
Yeah,
Junior
yeah. For Tex.
So how it basically started, of course, when I moved into the
Mhm.
neighborhood, I had no choice but to play with older players because all my friends were 4 years older, 3 to 4 years older than me. So
Right.
it was, either you can play or you can't, or you're just gonna pretty much be sitting watching the guys play.
Right.
But we had a great neighborhood. I mean, with the people today, they call it the Jays, but we call it the jungle.
Right.
So we grew up there, and we had a lot. We made a lot out of everything. We were the black version of the Little Rascals.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we would play sports. From our beginning of me playing football was murder ball.
Yep. Right on the hill.
Right on the hill.
Yep.
Murder ball.
Right on the hill.
Murder
That's
ball.
where I started playing.
Throw up tackle for all y'all that don't know
Ooh,
what
yeah.
murder ball is.
Yeah, it's a version of rugby.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's tackle the man with the ball. That's basically how it all started. And then we moved to a little more organization, which is with Brian Stewart's dad,
Mm-hmm.
the Cardinals. That's when we started playing
Yes.
baseball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So him and his father moved down. We started playing baseball, and only way I could play was with these guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just tried out for the
that's right.
team.
He was in that middle zone in the
Yeah,
neighborhood between
They weren't really checking birth
my
certificates.
age bracket and his, my brother and Chad's age bracket.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
you know, and just thank God they weren't really checking birth certificates, like I said back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. They was, yeah. If you're just a kid that just wanted to play and just come out there
Just
and
come
you
out
got
and
the
play.
talent, you can just go out and play. Yeah.
Then we moved to a little more organized. Of course, I played at Rancho. Marlton was very important.
Yeah,
to
Coach
us.
Braxton.
Coach Braxton, that was very important to us. So it gave us an outlet.
Mhm.
So we would
Yeah.
leave the apartments, of course, go up to Marlton. We would play football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Arco, Jesse Owens, track.
Yep.
Yeah.
So football came as for me, it was in flag. I played flag football.
Yeah.
I learned my right to learn my skills through flag football.
Mhm.
And I think people should use flag more now.
For the fundamental.
It is taxing on a body to be playing tackle football at the ages of 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
It works out for some, but the wear and tear, it will eventually catch up to you. So I'm very fortunate that I didn't play tackle
Mm-hmm.
prior
Right.
to the 9th grade. So the 9th grade is when I started playing tackle football. But as far as Pop Warner, never played it, always played flag. And that's where I learned my skills,
Right.
was flag football.
I've gotten cursed out recently with my opinion on kids shouldn't be playing tackle football until high school or maybe a year before. Because if you play a high level of flag, I just personally believe you'll be more skilled.
You will.
Yeah, you will.
You'll be more skilled, and
Right.
what you just testified, less wear and tear on your body. You know, I think the pros get too much blame for CTE when I think it really starts
Right.
in Pop Warner when parents are on the sideline screaming when that kid knocks another kid out. And
Right.
woo, 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 woo. No, man, that's not good.
No, that's absolutely correct.
You know,
What, especially back in our era, they didn't monitor concussions.
no, they
No.
didn't.
It was just called getting your bell rung.
Right.
Bill,
Right. Or
Now,
riding the bike.
Not knowing you had a concussion.
Got biked.
Yeah,
Riding the
not
bike.
knowing you had a concussion.
Right. Exactly.
So you get these young kids at this age with this collisions, and then depending on what league they're playing in.
Right.
I mean, are the coaches really fundamentally sound, or is it about run and collision just to hear the crowd,
Right.
and which is
Right.
dangerous. It's very
dangerous.
It's very dangerous for young student athletes, and they're not even really student athletes at that point. They're really just
Right.
kids
Right.
to be having those type of collisions. But to each his own. I think what happens a lot is a lot of parents, grandparents, I would call street agents, or these people are banking on this kid to be the next best NFL
Right.
player.
Yeah.
So they start them too early, as opposed to when we played all three sports.
Right.
Yes.
So why would you specialize a kid at 7 when he
Mhm.
should be
Right.
playing all three
Three
sports?
sports.
You playing
Exactly.
everything.
And I think that like you were saying, when you played all three sports, it betters your skill set for any one of them that you want to pick.
Yeah.
You know, because your agility, your just your awareness and everything, just from hitting a ball can make you much more aware of if you're playing a cornerback of catching the ball. When
Correct.
you're out there, yeah.
Teach you different skills.
Right. Eye
hand-eye
coordination.
Hand
yeah.
and eye coordination.
Definitely that.
Right.
And us growing up, it was even a little different than a lot of neighborhoods because we also not in conjunction with playing organized sports, we also played unorganized sports in our neighborhood. The same thing as the
Right.
seasons went on.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
We played baseball and we had teams
Teams.
and we played against other streets.
Yeah.
And
even had
we
jerseys.
had that, and we had jerseys. Exactly. We went and had jerseys with names on the back that we
Right.
wore to school, to Audubon on Friday.
That's right.
Yep.
Man, I mean, go back just to the concussion.
Mhm.
I actually remember I was a man when I figured it out. We talked about it. My first concussion was we were
Martin.
playing flag. No, the one at Hamilton.
The Hamilton, that's
The
right.
one that
That's
was
correct.
Hamilton with Neil Hope.
That's
hit me.
right. That's
Well, he
correct.
actually hit Daryl
Yeah.
Cole. Hit in Daryl's head, hit me. Fuck you, Solomon. When you see this, Solomon York, fuck you.
That's correct.
Because he's
That
going to
is
say
correct.
something about it.
Yeah, he did.
But no, dude, I got knocked out in flag football
Yeah, really.
by Neil
Or somebody was
Hope. Yeah.
was running full speed.
He came in motion. He hit our defensive end. I was playing tackle. He hit, his head flew directly into mine.
Oh,
Never
wow.
even saw it coming. It was crazy. But, we learned a lot, playing
Flag football.
organized flag football. And I just feel you'll be more skilled learning a heads-up approach to this, because heads-up tackling is the key to not getting a CTE, not getting concussions. Heads-up tackling is part of the key to that, one of the keys to that. So, but now we'll just go into briefly. I mean, not take your time, but we'll go into what you did right after your level of football when we went into Dorsey. So go on and tell us about that, because you were part of the first championship
team
in
in
Dorsey history. So
Yes.
please talk about that one.
So, like I said, I've only played 1 year Pop Warner.
Mhm.
This is in the 9th grade. It was Dorsey Junior Bantam. From that point, I went up to high school. So I was still at Audubon
Mhm.
playing Junior Bantam. So
Yeah.
go to high school. I'm at Dorsey. I'm in the 10th grade. Back then, they had Bs. So
Yeah.
I played B football. However, the summer, I practiced with the varsity. They wanted me to play varsity in the 10th grade. I just kept looking at the big dudes like, Coach Callahan, I don't think I'm ready.
Right.
I don't think I'm ready. And so they pushed me hard. And I just stayed and I played that one year lower level football,
Mhm.
which was great for me.
Coach Hemmings.
Yeah, which was great for me. And then I moved to varsity.
Did you go up in the playoffs?
No.
Because a lot of players do that in B's.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff
Up to the
time, they
JV.
move up.
Yeah.
No, they move up to
They
varsity.
moved to varsity.
Because JV doesn't play in the playoffs. They don't have.
Oh, right.
At least
right.
when I was in school, JV, once the season was over,
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they didn't even play every week because
No, they
other
didn't play the
teams
same.
didn't have JV squads. So
Right.
you didn't even know if you were playing. So anyway.
But guys my age in my class, like Vincent Weathersby, played
Mhm.
varsity in the 10th grade. I just didn't feel I was ready.
B-Dub was pretty big. Bro.
Yeah, he was
Solid.
Yeah.
V-Dub
So I just
was
felt like I
pretty
wasn't
solid,
ready.
though.
I waited till my junior year.
Yeah.
And all the skills I learned from street football to flag football, now I'm at varsity,
Mhm.
and it just took over from there.
Yeah, you
So
all,
all the
everything came together.
skills that I learned from playing basketball, baseball, it just took over. So I didn't start to the third game of the season, and it was a national game. We're playing Gardena, who had Gaston
Oh, I
Green.
was about
Right.
to say that.
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
time.
at
Yeah,
that time, that
Gaston
was
was
Gas
up
and
there, yeah.
Green.
So that was my first start. And of course, most people say, what is he doing on the field?
Mhm.
You're like, but I had an outstanding game.
Mhm.
And from that moment, the following week, I started getting prospective letters from universities.
Ooh.
So at that one game, you got to remember, there was a lot of national players
Right.
on that field,
That's right.
including our own. We had Aaron Cox, Larry
Mhm.
McLaughlin,
Right.
Hugh Jackson at that time. So those guys were on the field too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you had Gardena with Gaston Green, you had Hot Dog, you had Webb. There was a lot of national talent
Yeah. So it's a lot
on
of
the
scouts out
field.
there.
It was a
that
lot of
Yeah.
scouts out
And
there.
that's the best time to
A lot
shine.
of scouts out there.
Yeah.
Best time to shine. When they
But
look
one
at
of the
something.
things I took from that, of course, that following week, I started getting prospective letters.
Mhm.
Our head coach, Glenn Bell, he would always say, do not read the paper.
Mhm.
Wait till the season's over to see what people think of you.
Mhm.
So I actually did that. I would get the Wave, put it away.
Mhm.
LA Times, put it away. The Sentinel, put it away. So I didn't know I was in the paper until, of course, somebody at school told me,
Yeah.
but I never read the articles. So when I finished my junior year, I was the only junior who made all Central City. So I was on that team with Larry McLaughlin, Aaron Cox. You had Hardaway. What is his name? me think it's not Hardaway. Verban Day. Hardy Nickerson
Okay.
was on that team. So it was a lot of guys on that team. And I was the only junior on All Central City. And
First
then
team, second
All
team?
Central City was tougher to make it All City.
First or second team?
First team.
First. Ooh. First
Yeah.
team.
So
That's big.
Hey, man, no, you used to
First team.
love seeing that in the paper. Who was
Oh,
first
yeah.
team, second team, All Central City.
So that was big for me. I mean, I think at that point, I knew I wanted to play college football.
Mhm.
That was always a part of what I wanted to do was play college football. But once I started receiving accolades, it let me know, okay, I am good enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the key, what I tell young student athletes of today, the ones that I recruit, is you versus you.
Right.
You're going to compete against everybody, period. But can you beat you every day?
Mm-hmm.
That means, can you show up to practice on time?
Right.
Are you going to run the complete laps? Are you going to make it in time? Are you going to be in the weight room? So it's you versus you. And there is no hacks to it.
Right.
If you can beat you, eventually you're going to be able to beat everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are the hardest person to beat is yourself.
Right.
So then, you got the recruiting process. And so when we talk about recruiting, I had to understand it. You have to be better than one person in at least every state.
Yeah.
One person in every state, multiply that by how many high schools, you're talking about you have to be better than about 10 to 20 million student athletes
Right.
to earn a scholarship.
That's a hell of a
a lot.
perspective. It's a hell
That's
of a
how it
way to
works.
look at it for someone to understand that perspective at
Mhm.
a young age. It's
So,
impressive.
That's what I figured. Once I started figuring it out, I got to be better than that many people.
Right.
So then you figure we're in the state of California, we got great athletes here.
Right.
Great.
So that's a lot. It's a lot.
West Coast offense.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, all the names, the few names
Mhm.
that you just named, all went Division I schools.
Correct.
Everybody you named,
Yeah.
All of them did.
and some went to the pros.
Yeah.
On the
Yes.
names that he listed, know.
Right.
So yeah, that was a lot of talent
correct.
you just named.
A lot of talent. You had to play against that talent.
Yeah.
They-
That's just here in town.
Yeah.
Right.
Play against that talent.
Exactly, and it was different back then.
Yeah.
So to me, I think the biggest thing, plus we were on that run to be on the first championship team.
Oh yeah.
Well, here I am, a starter as a junior. The most fear to be was letting not only the team down,
Mm-hmm.
the school and the community,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because that's how the games were back then.
Right.
Yeah.
It was full.
Oh yeah.
It was
yeah.
full.
Both sides.
It was really full.
Yeah. Both sides of the field. Yeah.
And when you're at Audubon, you're either going to 2 or 3 schools.
Right.
Right? You're either going to Dorsey, you're going to Crenshaw, you're going to Manual Arts, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, very couple of them. couple.
Yeah.
Couple.
Fremont, maybe.
Fremont, maybe.
Yeah.
Fremont, maybe.
Yeah, you was stretching. He was going.
So I would, of course, where we live, we would
Birmingham.
go to the Dorsey games.
That's right. They can't forget that's when busing started. So Birmingham, Birmingham took a lot of.
You and Durham Cole.
Yeah, I graduated Dorsey though. I came back home.
So of course, we would go to the Dorsey games.
Yep.
And the thing is, we could be at home, and when we hear the drums, we knew
It was going down.
the varsity's on the way out. Let's make our way.
Exactly.
So what made me see Dorsey, I went to a game, I'm not Audubon, and I seen this guy run out the back gate. And he's hooping it up with everybody on the team. And I'm just watching him in amazement. This is probably 78, 79, something like that. And all of a sudden I was like, who is this guy? And so the game gets started.
Mhm.
And immediately the announcer was Mr. Rydeen. Everybody remember that
Oh
voice.
yeah.
And he would say, catch by Kirby Wilson.
Yeah.
When I seen Kirby Wilson run out the gate, make his first catch, I knew then, I said, this is where I'm going to play football. I was going to Dorsey from that moment on.
Mm.
That's
Jackie
how
Robinson.
I got to Dorsey. I knew it. I wanted to be that next version of the Kirby Wilson.
Right.
Okay. Did you think about any other schools before Dorsey? I mean,
of
did you
course.
think about Crenshaw or
You would think about Crenshaw because
Crenshaw was just starting out,
they've
wasn't
been around for a minute.
Yeah.
But coaches would come by.
Mhm.
They would come by and watch us in the bird balls and stuff like that.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
had other options.
Okay.
But for me, it was no other option. It was
Right.
either Dorsey or nothing.
Yeah.
And you would have
So
had
hard to be a dime.
Well, you'd have had to get the transfer to be a Crenshaw.
Yeah, then how I'm gonna get to school every day too.
Yeah, that
Right,
part
right.
there. That's because we were walking.
So that was my walk. That version, playing against such great athletes, I'm telling you, it just made me better. James Washington,
Okay.
played with the Cowboys, played
Yeah,
at UCLA. He was a receiver.
Yeah.
I had to guard that dude. So James is 6'3",
That's what I'm
6'4"
saying. He's a
in
big
high
guy.
school.
Yeah.
So you start to learn different ways of how to stop bigger players.
Right.
Of course I could jump. I played basketball.
You
I
did.
could do that.
You did. You could jump.
Bumping. You got to bump
So it was just the work.
off the fire, coming off the line.
Yeah,
got
it
to
was
bump
just the
him.
workload.
This little motherfucker was strong. Shit. This little cock strong ass.
You played in Vineyard,
Strong.
didn't you?
I did play at Vineyard.
Yeah.
He
that's what I
was
played
strong,
at the
man.
yard.
I
Yeah.
played at Vineyard.
And he had hops. Like he did say, he did have hops.
I played
So,
at Vineyard. Sure did.
but maybe that's because you felt, shit, I got to get over this player. So let me work on this aspect. That and you saw J-Dub working on his hops, running up and down Valley
That
Ridge.
ridge.
Oh, yeah. The thread.
The ridge. So
Yeah, the thread, you
Uh,
get your hops off.
So, we touched on, your football career at Dorsey. And when he does say that he didn't start till the 11th grade, back then we only went to high school 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
10th, 11th, 12th.
he started his second year of school.
Right.
He started his
Yeah,
second
yeah, you played junior Bantams. You would have been playing B's.
Yeah, correct.
That would have been,
in
that
this
actually,
freshman,
you know
sophomore
what?
football.
Yeah, that actually
Right.
would have been your frost year right then. So that would have been that. But now that you're in the 12th grade,
Mhm.
okay, you can tell us a little bit about the senior year, because senior year was the year you guys won championship, or the
Junior year.
Junior, you
Junior
won the
year, yeah.
championship. So you started getting heavily recruited probably after that point, because
Correct.
you was all Central City first team in the 11th grade.
And All City.
Woo!
That's when Butch Johnson, didn't he donate
My
Yes.
man.
gear? And
Mhm.
yeah, that was fresh. I
That-
remember they had new rain jackets, everything. That was nice.
That's a hell of an accomplishment, because were there any other underclassmen on first team?
I was the only junior on the All
You were the
Central
only
City team.
on the on
period.
Central. So that's impressive in itself.
Right.
And you were on first team.
Correct.
So now you were seeing a lot of the players who got recruited, Aaron Cox and Larry McGlaughlin, who
Mhm.
both went to Arizona State.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. And won a Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Did very well. Aaron went on to the pros, to the Rams,
the Rams,
star with the Rams. How was the recruiting process? What did that look like back then? Because it's much different now. We'll get into that.
Okay.
But tell us how it was for you.
The recruiting process back then was, first you would receive prospective letters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you would get those letters with the universities on it. So like I said, me and Vincent Weathersby,
Mhm.
we would always compare letters. So if he got some from Oregon, maybe I got some from Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go back and forth. So one day he comes in, he has the University of Washington. I loved Washington. The Huskies probably was a place I wanted to go. But it was another program that I loved because I continued to follow Kirby Wilson,
Mhm.
was the University of Illinois, the Fighting
Fighting an Illini.
Illini.
Big
So-
Ten.
So it was the Fighting Illini. So I fell in love with the Fighting Illini. I fell in love with the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Oh, yeah.
I just something about the uniforms. I just loved
Pittsburgh
it.
colors.
You're a kid.
Pittsburgh.
So I fell in love with
Like you
them.
said, Pittsburgh.
And so as we continue on to our senior year, of course, more letters and more letters and more letters and more letters. So we're at the end of our senior year. We're picking up our letters. He's showing me his. And I got one trump card. I said, look who contacted me. That was my first letter from the University of Georgia.
Okay.
So at that point, that was the trump card. You got Washington. We both had UCLA. We both had SC. So,
Right.
but yeah, so
This is the
that's
SEC.
how it started.
That's
The
how it
walk
started.
towards going to the Southeastern Conference.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's how it started.
That's how it started. That's, man. Started getting recruited then.
Yep.
I mean, the
Because-
SEC only looked for elite,
Oh, always, always. Big time.
Yeah.
So, kind of tell us the difference in possible recruiting. I mean, the difference in the recruiting when you were recruited
Mhm.
on how an athlete is recruited now, because you got the letter and everything.
Right.
And what
Coach
was
go
the
by the house or
contact
something.
like
Okay.
after you get the letter?
So you would get the letter. If the school was really interested in, of course, they would call the house.
Right.
Mhm.
So the thing about calling home, remember, we didn't have cell phones back then.
Oh, that's true.
So everybody would play pranks on each other. So I would call one of the teammates and say, "How you doing? This is Coach R.J. Slocum calling from Texas A&M." And then, so your buddy's all excited about his Texas A&M, and then you start busting up laughing. It's like, oh, come on, man. So, you get the phone call. You would get the phone call, and things were different then. There wasn't no internet.
Right.
The VHS wasn't. The tapes were 8 reel to reel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Reel to reel.
Yeah. Real to real.
So coaches would actually really come out to see you a lot more then.
That's true.
Because they had no other way of seeing you.
Right. Then they write down the stats and everything.
They
Yeah.
would have to come out and watch you play. So as opposed to now, you got Huddle, you got Instagram, you got X. Young men can actually put film out there.
My grandson did. And his
So
recruiting, I remember
so
that.
you can create a highlight reel of yourself. The old way was they wanted to see you play in 3 games. So if you were being recruited, they were going to offer you a scholarship. They want to see you in 3 games, and not always your best game. It was against the best competition.
Right.
Mhm.
So those 3 games,
How you handle it.
that's how you would be recruited, and that's how you know if they're either going to offer you or they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from that point, of course, I was disappointed. I didn't get offered out of high school. I made all Central City twice. I made all city twice. Senior year, I'm an All-American. But it came down to size for most universities. Just wasn't quite big enough. Got all the accolades you want.
Right.
I mean, interceptions,
Stats.
7 interceptions, 6 for all returns for touchdowns.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh, damn.
And the only one I didn't try to return, it was in the championship conference game at Birmingham.
Mhm.
I picked that off and threw it in the stands because it was the end of the game.
Did they fine you for the ball?
No. So I was very disappointed. I'm watching some guys I know I played against,
Right.
then guys on my team getting scholarships. So that was a tough one.
Man.
And you knew you had better stats all around of them.
The whole accolades, everything. was
Yeah,
better.
well, he had me, and
Yeah.
you had actually went into that. You stole my question because I was. That's where I was going to go with that. But like you said, I was going to ask you. You had the letters, you had the attention,
Correct.
but I know where you started your college career, which was at Glendale.
Correct.
So, what made you choose going the JUCO route?
So if you want to continue to play football,
Mhm.
you got to think about, are you going to can your family finance you to go somewhere that you really don't want to be?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't want to be there. So community college became a great vehicle.
Mhm.
And once I understood it, okay, community college is the next step.
Yeah.
It really is,
Mhm.
especially in the state of California, because you're playing FCS football.
Yeah.
1AA football is community college football in the state of California.
Right.
So as that happens, I chose Glendale. I chose Glendale for several reasons. It gave me a chance to move out a little bit, but it was the way the staff treated me. So I chose the school that I felt that wanted me,
Right.
and it gave me an opportunity to see a little bit more of the city. So, of course, it was a little more hardship because I had to get to school every day.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But
Glendale.
that's the part about you have to be you.
Yeah. Discipline.
So I had to get up, get on the bus, get to Glendale.
That's right.
So that's the part of me beating me every day,
Yeah.
getting to practice, going to class. All that is a part of being a student athlete.
That's right.
You just don't wake up and say, I want to be a Division I player, which
Right.
players do now.
Right.
And that's you're never going to get there that way.
No.
Yeah. This not going to be the SUV with the driver outside to
Correct.
take you from the athletic dorm to the practice field like they do
But
now.
even if you had that, I don't think you would be a better player because then you're going to be lacking in an area. You know, you're not going to be the discipline. It builds you. It makes you into the person. It makes you hungry. It makes you the person that you're going to end up being. I mean, look at Kobe's work ethic.
Yes.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? That's A1. You know what I'm saying? Any athlete should follow that work ethic. I don't care if you're playing hockey, tennis,
Correct.
you know, lacrosse, whatever it is. You know, his work ethic is be better. Like you said, beat yourself.
Yeah. That's who you're really battling against
Yeah.
is yourself.
That's it.
So, I chose Glendale. I thought, I don't think I knew it was the best decision for me.
Mhm.
And so with young men of today, I'm telling them that I'm recruiting. The difference of a community college could be the difference in the rest of your life.
Right.
If you choose the wrong college, then things start to spiral downward.
Right.
Mhm.
So are you willing to sacrifice for what? It's because one guy on that team went to Arizona State or this guy went to USC. But then you start thinking, I thought about the junior college route, and I said, wait a minute, O.J. Simpson went to junior college.
Yeah.
So you start thinking about all the players who went to community college at that time.
Mhm.
But the biggest thing for me is I had all my letters and all my posters on my wall.
Mhm.
So I could see Division I every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And the kids that I'm recruiting, I do the same thing with them. You have to see it every day.
You have to have a focus.
You
Yeah.
just don't wake up and say, I want to go Division I. It's not going to happen.
No.
But it's the countless hours. Then when nobody's looking,
What are you doing?
that's how you
Yeah.
get
What are
there.
you doing? Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. What
So,
are you doing when
You
nobody's
guys
looking?
talked about Valley Ridge, plenty of days up there. Jim Gilliam Park, plenty of days doing that. And the first person, besides my high school coaches, told me I could get to where I wanted, was an old man named Mr. Banks.
Oh yeah.
So
Mr.
everybody knows
Yeah.
Mr. Banks from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So
Rest
he had
in
his
peace.
German Shepherd.
Yeah. rest
He
in
saw me out running Jim Gilliam by myself,
Mhm.
doing drills by myself. And he came to me one day and said, you're going to make it to wherever you want to go. Just keep working.
Just keep working.
And so that's, it's all about work, man.
Yeah.
It's all about work. And anything you do, it's about the work, the process. Can you withstand the process?
Yeah.
And Mr. Banks, that was he saw a
Die
lot
hard
of talent.
Dorsey fan.
Yeah, he saw a lot of talent. He
Oh yeah.
big.
He saw a lot of talent.
Exactly.
He saw
Never-
a lot of talent.
Never missed a Dorsey football nor track meet.
Never.
Yeah.
Never missed one. Rest in peace, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Banks.
Yeah, he was phenomenal with that.
Yeah. I remember Mr. Banks. We used to come and watch my brother play up there. And he used to be out there on the field on the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, well, we had names for everything.
Everything.
Every little field had its own little makeup for
Right.
us. From the little courts.
Right.
Little courts. Yep.
Being up at
The yard, vineyard.
I'm trying to think. And me and
Marlton.
used to
Marlton,
be
the
up
gym.
there
Yeah.
7 a.m. We play on Sunday with Tony
Mhm.
Harbin, Lawrence, his stepdad. You remember?
Yes. Yes.
Take us out there, man. We hopped the gate. And Scotty.
Got it.
Oh, Scotty. Yeah.
Oh man, Scotty, man, he's still phenomenal, dude. Man, love you, dude. But anyway, before I get emotional there, so you just took us on your journey through Glendale.
So I'm at
Now,
Glendale. Mhm,
You're
correct.
at Glendale.
I'm at Glendale Community
I went
College.
to Potato Bowl.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we'll
doing
get
well.
so. But the one thing I found out immediately
Mhm.
from high school to community college, everybody was bigger,
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody was faster.
a little bit bigger, a little bit
So-
stronger.
The process is every time you take a step up,
Mhm.
it gets bigger, stronger, and faster.
Yeah.
So here I am, a freshman
Mhm.
in college, and we're playing against Pierce.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They had an All-American tight end named Markland.
Okay,
He caught this drag across, and I had to go get him. I hit him. He didn't fall.
I was gonna say he hit you back.
So I just held on for dear life. The guys came and cleaned him up. Now I'm face down. This is real. We're at Pierce. I'm face down. The first thing I said to myself is, you got to get in the weight room.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Gotta get stronger.
So that dude
Yeah.
was an All-American, JC All-American.
Right.
6'5", 255 or whatever he was.
Solid.
Hey, you get introduced real fast.
Yeah.
But you got introduced in practice too, because now your
yeah.
running backs are running 4.4.
Okay.
So D'Artagnan Johnson was there.
I remember.
Thighs this so
Right.
things start to change at that level. So we do a great job, man. We end up playing for state title. We played Taft. Taft had a college.
Mhm.
Then they were the defending national champions.
Hmm.
So we go up to Bakersfield, which is where I was born. So now my family get to see me play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So we play up in Bakersfield. It looked like Iowa versus USC
Yeah.
because of the two teams' colors.
Right.
What was the name of the
Glendale.
game back then?
Potato Bowl.
Potato Bowl.
Potato
There
Bowl.
we go.
Yeah.
It was the Shrine Potato Bowl.
Shrine potato
Shrine
bowl.
potato
That's
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So you had to go to the Shrine Hospital
Mhm.
to see the children. Then you start to understand what college is a little different.
Right.
It's things that you need to understand going on to college. It's not just football. It's a lot of other stuff involved in college.
Right.
Now you're on an institution of higher learning.
Mhm.
So we win that. I was always still a little worried early in the season because teams didn't throw at me a lot.
Mhm.
So I went to my coach, and he told me, he said, Carver, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You're every down corner. Then I did get my first offer my sophomore year at Cerritos when it was a scrimmage game.
Mhm.
So the University of Hawaii was the first person that offered me at JUCO.
Hawaii.
University of Hawaii, yeah.
Right.
But they wanted me.
Hawaii. Okay.
They wanted me out of high school. Coach, his name was George Lumpkin. He's one of the
Okay.
greatest recruiters. Everybody knows Coach Lumpkin. He wanted me out of high school.
I mean, it ain't that hard to recruit if you
Yeah.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it is for them because you figure everybody wants to take the trip.
No, yeah.
Right.
So it is for them.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure that, you're really interested.
I actually, not to cut you off,
Mhm.
I've always wondered why they weren't a better football team, a better program for
Yeah.
the fact that they are in Hawaii.
Right.
And who the heck doesn't want to go to Hawaii and live and play? Because I know the times I've been over there, you meet an American. Well, damn, I keep like American. Like Hawaii ain't America. But from the
State.
state,
Well, you got to remember.
they
you're
don't want
17
to come back.
Yeah, but you're 17, 18.
Yeah.
And then you get on that first flight, 5 hours across
Five-
water.
5,
Right.
6 hours, yes.
You start thinking, like, wait a minute.
I got to do this all the time.
I got to just go home.
Yeah.
I got to do this just to go play a game.
Right.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah.
So
Think
that's a
about it
lot
like
of,
that. I really
you're
did.
17, 18, man. That's a
Right.
lot to think
I
about.
didn't think about
Right.
that
Yeah.
flight.
It's a lot of
planning every
process
week.
in there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And that was that was my journey. And the next thing you know, Pitt offered me Wisconsin, University of Indiana, and I got the Georgia offer after the Potato Bowl.
Your first year?
This my second.
Second
This
year.
is my sophomore season.
Okay.
So I got the offer, and it was really weird. I was walking in the office,
Mhm.
and Coach Sakuda was my defensive coordinator at the time. And he says, Coach, I don't know. He's standing right here. Let me ask him. So he says, hey.
Wait a minute, you walked into the
Walked in the
coach's office
conversation?
and George was on the phone?
Literally.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
And then he's asked me, he said, hey, University of Georgia's on the phone. They want to know if you'd be interested. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the guy came up to recruit me, and I'm not going to use names
Mhm.
but it was actually an NFL scout.
Okay.
It was an NFL scout from the 49ers.
Oh.
So I sat down and watched film with him. And the weird thing is he stood at the film. So he stood up
Mhm.
and he's watching the film. And so I'm asking him, like, Gordon, what are you looking at? He said, I'm looking at your change of direction. How fast can you stop and start? Well, I learned something. So that's how I really got remember, George had already been tracking me.
From
Yeah.
high school.
High
So
school.
I would always get
They
letters.
knew you
They had
were.
already been tracking me.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, go see this guy.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened.
Did they visit in high school? I know you say they, they,
No,
they
I was
had
just a
interest,
prospect.
but did they? Okay,
It
so
was
they
just a
didn't
letter
come out
then.
and
Just
see
a bunch,
Okay,
just a
let-
bunch of letters.
Okay.
Yeah,
Packets, letters, letters, posters, all that stuff. But it kept coming.
yeah. Well, that's
Really
okay.
did keep coming.
You had a whole lot of
Yep.
attention.
So
Yeah.
Then you got to think about it. So now that's over,
Mhm.
and you got the recruiting process of college. Like I said, I knew I was going to play Division I football. I didn't know where
Mhm.
because I had dreamed it over and over and over in my mind. So now you're getting these schools calling you. You got the Big Ten,
Mhm.
the Pac-10, Southeastern Conference. So now you really got to decipher a lot of information.
Yeah.
Quickly.
But now it's big business.
Oh, big.
So you getting on an airplane, going to these universities, you seeing this different pageantry, you looking at the equipment and just so much stuff that's different now.
The gym. And
I was
Everything's
gonna ask
different.
you,
Yeah.
who did you actually take visits to?
Okay, so I went to
sophomore year.
My sophomore year.
Who'd you actually visit?
I visited, of course, the University of Hawaii.
Okay.
I visited San Jose State.
Okay.
My coach asked me, he said, whatever you do, take one small school. You may like it. I went to University of Indiana, and then I went to the University of Georgia. So I didn't want to go to Wisconsin, and I didn't want to go to Pitt. And Oregon was on my radar, but I don't know what Oregon kept doing. It was something weird with them.
Mhm.
So I just canceled. I ended up going to San Jose State on that weekend. But those were my visits.
And this wasn't the Phil Knight Oregon that
No,
we know of today.
No, it definitely was not. It wasn't that Oregon.
This isn't the Phil Knight of today in Nike, Oregon.
No, this is the throwback Oregon.
Yeah, this is the throwback.
When they only had to duck.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
No motorcycle.
Yeah.
No 3,000 combinations of uniforms.
So that was that process. So then once again, now you have to figure out what's best for you.
Mhm.
What's best for you. I was really torn between Indiana and the University of Georgia.
You and I talked about that before.
I was really torn. So I sat down with my coach and I asked him, Coach, what do you think I should do? Like, he says, I can't tell you that. But he did give me something. He says, first of all, go where they want you.
Right.
But you don't have that problem with. He said, how the people treat you. He said, and you'll feel it in your stomach. Not your heart. No,
Right.
It ain't going to be the uniform. It's not going to be none of that. It's going to come down to your stomach, your gut. You say, this is the place for me. So after you take your visits, I mean, you have to think it's for a kid like me to go see what Bloomington, Indiana looked like was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they take you out to this lake. I mean, you're having dinner, and the weight room is directly under the football stadium.
Oh, wow.
So as you're watching the game, there's a whole complex underneath there.
Mm-hmm.
So now you start to understand, well, this is big business, big money, and this is for real.
It's different.
Yeah. Way different.
But it was, like you said, you were getting prepared for that at Glendale because you had said earlier how you started to understand when you went to the Potato Bowl and you guys had to go and handle business, basically.
Correct.
School business.
Correct.
You had to go to the hospital.
Right.
And you had to go to wherever shrine
Yes.
The committee needed you to be at.
Correct.
Because they're paying for everything.
Right.
That's the bottom line. So you're seeing
Being
that
an
on that
ambassador.
level. Yeah. And now you're on a division, a Power 5
Correct.
conference. Well, hell, it might have been 6 or 7 conferences back then. But you're in what's known as a Power 5, Big Ten, where you see a massive amount of resources go into these programs, especially football.
Correct.
And well, at Indiana basketball also,
Yes.
especially back then, basketball was huge with
He
Bobby
was
Knight.
he was very instrumental, Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight.
Yeah.
So we went to, of course, it's the season's over for football, so we go to a basketball game.
Okay.
Bobby Knight is really who you see he is on.
Oh,
I'm
geez.
literally. So
Chair thrower and everything.
listen, after the basketball game, we go in there, we sit down, we're in the locker room. So that year, Coach Mallory brought nothing but junior college players in.
Mm-hmm.
On that trip I was on, it was 19 of us who were all community college players.
Oh, okay.
So he was trying to make a splash.
Right.
I was going to just say, can you let the people know what that means when you recruit a player out of junior college in the first place? But when you take that many,
Mm-hmm.
when you come after that many, can you tell them what it means?
Well, if you're trying to bring in a massive amount of community college players, then you're trying to upgrade your program yesterday. They're expecting you to come in and to compete and play right now.
Right now.
And understanding you're going to be on CBS, ABC, ESPN. So now it becomes a little different, the business aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're being recruited as a junior college player, it's a great thing because they feel that you're prepared to play now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really have to sit and wait. So, you're dealing with that. So you have to deal with that. And that becomes another process.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So we go back to Bobby Knight. He says, look here, guys. Coach Mallory's the new coach here. He bringing all you guys in from community college. And he says, stop fucking around and just sign a letter of intent and let's go. Coach Mallory liked to cry. He just put his head down and said, this man did not just say this to my 19 recruits in here.
Yes,
But that was Bobby Knight.
Yeah, exactly.
You
No
know what?
filter.
I would love to see how many of those 19 did he get. I would love
It was tough. He got a few of us, but it was some guys had some trips to Oregon,
Okay.
Florida State. I still hadn't moved to Georgia yet.
Right.
But we were all talking about, hey man, we all come now. And matter of fact, that year that we all would have came as the junior college players, that was the year they beat Ohio State. Ow!
Oh.
That was the year. So that year, that
might have been the last
that was the
time
last
he beat
time.
Ohio State.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted.
So that would have been our class.
Man, okay.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, can you touch a little bit more? Well, can you touch on what the NIL is doing to college football or to the JUCO right now?
Got you. So first, NIL. Everybody for the audience who don't know what that is, it's name, image, and likeness for the student athletes. So now student athletes can profit from their name, image, and likeness. So if you're on Madden or any type of game now, and your figure and your jersey number, you get compensated for it.
Okay.
The college can't not sell your jersey anymore without you being compensated for it.
That's beautiful.
But it's not as easy as everybody thinks. There's something called a collective.
Yes.
So a collective, what they are is they're an independent organization, which is based of alums, boosters, and businesses.
Okay.
So their job is to fundraise all the money that facilitates